Welcome to Shark Cap Table Fast, the 1-minute deal maker that helps you keep your arms and legs. Now, we need to get started the right way, so let's be sure that this drop-down box here says Shark. You could pick others like Investor VC, but we're going to refer to our investors as Sharks. And then we want to hide all help. You could, for example, show all the help, but it gets kind of cluttered at the beginning. And we're not going to do a telephone deal, but we could, and that would be an analysis of a telemarketing investment opportunity. And we're not going to do that now, but we have a tutorial that allows us to go through a typical telephone deal. What we are going to do now is structure a capital raise where we manipulate 8 input spin buttons, and those are down here. And we're going to make 4 deal metrics work for you and the Sharks, and they are located up here. So without further ado, let's put some skin in the game. That's the amount of cash that you have in your deal. Let's say it's just a modest $15,000. Now the additional value could consist of beta test revenues, intellectual property or patents, quality of management team, market size and ability to capture share, other tangible or intangible assets. I would like to move this little guy off to the side so we don't get it in front of us. And now we need to increase the additional value. And let's say we put in $600,000 worth of additional value. Now, let's issue the founders 1 million shares. Professional investors want to see an option pool, which of course is the ability of the company to set aside shares that actually dilute the founders, so that they can pay and induce high performance from future managers. So there we have it. $150,000 is 15% of 1 million shares. Now let's go in and say that the Shark investment that we are seeking is going to be $300,000. We're going to sell this company for an estimated $2.2 million in year 4. And now we have to negotiate with the Sharks what the pre-money value is. We'd be lucky if we get something under 615, so maybe we get super lucky and get 400,000. Now let's see what kind of a deal we've actually structured for the Sharks. So first let's look at what the ownership is. Options have 7.5%, founders have 49.7%, Sharks have 42.9%. The Sharks are going to earn, based upon a year 4 sale of $2.2 million, they're going to get 3.1 investment multiple. That also earns them a 33.1% internal rate of return. And since we're seeing green, that indicates the founders have voting control and the Sharks are in a minority position. All right, so that's not all that bad, but suppose the Sharks start to negotiate and they say, we just don't believe you're 615. We're going to come down to 350 or worse yet, 325. Well, 325 spells trouble for us because now we see red. That means founders have lost control, Sharks have gained control. And let's say that the Sharks are absolute with this number. They simply aren't going to go a penny above it. Well, what I would advise you is to try to go for a little less money, maybe $250,000. Now, as you can see, we see green again. So a little less money will cause the founders to regain voting control, which I think is important in early stage companies. Maybe you can do more for less money, but be very careful about losing control. Now, another thing we might do is we might be able to come in here and convince these guys that maybe we could sell the business a little later. Notice by moving the price up, the internal rate of return goes up, but it might be that it occurs in year 4. Now that's still better than we had it before. However, and the investment multiple is now 6.6. So this starts to look a little better to the Sharks. Maybe we can go back and then negotiate 450,000 or maybe just 425. Now this is getting better for the founders. They've got 59.6. The Sharks have 40.4. And maybe we have the makings of a real deal here. So the beauty of this tool is you can rapidly change numbers. You have to have some kind of understanding why you're changing them. And Justify to the investors why you think you're worth $6.15, why you're willing to let them have a pre-money at $4.25, why you think you can sell in year 5 for $3.8 as opposed to year 4 for substantially less. Now, a feature of the shark cap table that we haven't talked about is the investment summary. This is, in programming parlance, a concatenated statement. I love that word, concatenate. It simply means that we're joining the words and the numbers that we create up here into investment banking speak. You can cut and paste that and put it into a business plan or a stand and deliver or your pitch deck. Now, a couple of other little features are kind of fun. This spinner up here refers to what's going on to the left. And here we have a series of interesting little statements and hints. Kind of gives you an idea what's going on. So you can spin that and read it. And there we get back to the 1 minute deal maker that helps you keep your arms and legs. Now, it is important to understand that Shark Cap Table Fast speaks with Shark Cap Table LITE. All this data that you put in here, all of this will appear when you go into Shark Cap Table LITE. Why do we have LITE? It's because we can do more. There are such things as stand and deliver pitches, much more complex than just the investment summary. And we'll get into that later, but it also has a larger amount of discussion of the investment summary. We have some preferentials in there, and we can also do a combination deal, which is equity and royalties. And we talked about preferentials, they're preferential royalties, not preferential payouts. Those come in another tool. So, having said all this, go out and get this tool. It's a great value, and you can structure your deals, you can play the game, and you can even take this tool and plunk it down on the table while you're talking with investors. And you could even take this one sheet here and print it and send it out and see if people like your pricing. Let us hear from you. Get into trouble, give us an email. Maybe we can offer some advice. Thank you very much. Bye.